Okay, can you hear me now? So apparently I've been talking for myself for the past 2 minutes. Anyway, hello and welcome to another Honkai discussion stream. And I know it's been a long time since the last stream. I'm sorry, I was very busy. But I had to do it. Do it this week because chapter 41 will. I mean, there was no announcement, but it should release at the end of next week. So it was now or never. I can hear you now. Awesome. If you tuned into my previous streams, you probably know that almost every stream I have some kind of audio issue. So this should come as no surprise at this point. So I was talking to myself for the past 2 minutes. Sorry for laughing at that. I know, it's okay. Now that I think about it, it is very funny. Thinking about a random dude talking to himself for 2 minutes. This is the first stream I join. Well, welcome, Yui. Hope you will enjoy your stay. Yeah, I wanted to do this discussion last week, but I gotta be honest with you. Last week I started Baldur's Gate, and yeah, that should explain the situation why I didn't do it then. But I had 2 hours of free time today, and I said to myself that I must do it now instead of playing Baldur's Gate. When can we start with the questions? I mean, you can ask right away. I don't want to get into the summary right away. I want to wait, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes for more people to tune in. But if you have any questions, you can ask them. Also, yes, as you can see, I got Luna. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, let me see, where is she? You know what? Let me do it this way. Got her weapon, got all of her stigmatas, and it costed me almost 50,000 gems, which was way more than it should have cost. I was very unlucky, even unluckier than I was with Hersher of Rebirth. And because of that I had to give up the brick for Santi. But it is what it is. You can have your cake and eat it too, as they say. Maybe I will get it on a rerun. Do you think there's more to Griseo's powers? Like, did she create the white stuff seemingly surrounding the Ark? What are you referring to when you say the white stuff around the Ark? Also, guys, like I say every time, please do not spoil anything related to chapter 41 or anything related to the CN content. Keep the questions in the range of the content that is released on Global. And I will be honest with you, this time I don't really know what happens in chapter 41. Usually I read a couple of summaries when the chapter drops, but these first few weeks I was so busy that I didn't really have the time to read much about the CN content. I know some stuff that are more obvious, but I didn't really dive deep into the chapter. So even my knowledge of chapter 41 is very, very limited. So because of that, please don't spoil others and don't spoil me. Homu, do you know how Fu Hua got into the new area? I remember that she had a headache and then she was teleported. I mean, we don't really know. All we know was during the chapter when she was resting in that hotel with the Book of Fushi. She heard a strange voice, which was very similar, which was basically the narrator in a very similar way with how Vita was the narrator during the Cele arc in Soul Snow Holy City, and yeah, she got teleported. I think this is something that will be explained and expanded upon in more detail in the future chapters. But as of chapter 40, we don't really know how she got there. Like Teresa speculated in at the end of chapter 39, and by seeing everything that happens in Phosphorus with the Little Vitas, most likely her being there is tied to Sa in one way or form. We do not know exactly how. That remains to be seen. Hello Homu, hello people. This is also my first time on a live stream of yours. Saw almost all the past one whilst farming, haha. Well, welcome. Hope you will enjoy your stay. How Griseo came to Vita's place. Again, that needs to be expanded in future chapters, but from all the information we have in chapter 40, it was most likely related to her journey with the Ark. And in one of the recordings that Griseo had on the Ark, we can hear that the Ark is attacked by something. While she was exploring the outskirts of a certain planet, which might be the very planet the action is taking place right now, and she was attacked by someone or something, which caused the Ark to crash land on this planet. That's the best guess we can have with the information we have available right now. How many crystal you spent to full gear Luna? Like I said, almost 50,000. When I had 42k when I started pulling for her, and after consuming all those crystals, I had everything except for the M stigma slot. And as I accumulated crystals over the next few days, I kept pulling. And I think after almost 20 more pulls, I got the last piece. So yeah, about 45k, I think. Homo, have you seen the Alicia Hercher figurine and the brick pillow? Yes, I've seen them both yesterday. Unfortunately, I cannot afford buying one of those figurines. I tried to look up the price and it's way over what my budget allows. But yeah, I would love to buy one, but I can't. In Act 3, Hua entered the crash site of the Ark and met with Vita in a blank white space where she gained some voice memos and writing. Do you think Griseo's mantis powers created that white space? Oh, so that's what you were referring to. That's an interesting assumption. We don't really know. It could be. It very well could be. But that space was more so related to that Vita, which we don't really know is the... I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's not the same Vita that we met in Salt Snow Holy City. My personal theory right now is that she is another proxy, or maybe even Sa herself, but I don't think that she's Sa. I think she's just another proxy. That space seemed more linked to Vita, but also Griseo in a way, because we found a lot of recordings and memories of her. So I don't know. It could be. Homu in CN, does Fu Hua calls proxy Vita on her way to Griseo using that name? As far as I know, and take this with a huge grain of salt, the terminology that they use in CN is the same that they used in the previous chapters to talk about proxy Vita, but for some reason they translated it differently now, this time in English. They translated it as avatar, meanwhile previously it was proxy. But as a pure translation from Chinese to English, it's closer to avatar than proxy. But they used proxy in the previous arc, and in this arc they changed it to avatar for some reason. But yeah, the term is the same that is used for the Vita in Salt Snow Holy City. Is it just me or someone else noticed that it was Sue's VA speaking with Senti in the Brick event? Yes, Bruno, it's not just you. I think everybody noticed that it was Sue, and it was his VA in both Chinese and JP. And let's be honest, it's probably Sue, because it talked about how it had some things in common with Senti, which we know that Sue's powers share a lot of commonalities with the powers of the Hersher of Sentience, and even Senti recalls his voice, says that it's familiar, but he can't recall the exact memories because her mind is full of all of Fu Hua's memories, so it's hard for her to sort them out. But yeah, it's most likely Sue. And I'm really excited to have him back in the story. Will Senti come to help Fu Hua? I mean, it's possible, but it's interesting that Sue mentioned that he needs Senti to stay there, which would imply that, if my understanding is correct, would imply that maybe we will not see Senti coming to Fu Hua's rescue. Anyway, it's clear that Sue has a plan. What does that plan entail? We have no idea right now. Hi Homu. Can you remember me? I was asking about Ai-chan on chapter 39 discussion. Yes, I remember that we have a discussion about Ai-chan. During the discussion, could you repeat the question, Likor, please, to refresh my memory? Do you think that the second divine key would make chapter 37 to 39 faster? In which way, Avras? What do you mean? If they used the second divine key? I mean, yes, because it's a divine key that can manipulate space, and it would have made their entire journey there a lot more easier, in the sense that they could have found the proper world a lot more easier, and they could have escaped the bubble universe. So in this aspect, yes, it would have made everything a lot more fast. The translation for the chapter 40 is all over the place, sadly. Yes, I know. This is one of the worst worst offenders when it comes to chapter translations. From constantly interchanging words, there were even some places that were not translated at all. Do you think that Sue would appear during this storyline or be reserved for part 2 or APHO? I don't know. I would certainly hope that Su would appear this arc. I mean, that's what they are teasing. Just from that dialogue alone, I would assume that he will play a major role in helping Fu Hua and saving her from this planet and bringing her back to Earth. Also, when is the new chapter gonna come out? It should come out next Thursday, if I remember correctly. Or Friday, I'm not sure. I don't think they announced exactly, but it should be next week anyway. Also, hello Fidat, hello Forsaken. Hello Ferretin and everyone else who joined now. I see, thanks Homo for the explanation. I heard some people saying Vivi and wondered if they also change her name in CN. If you're referring to how Fu Hua addresses her like little V, I think that is consistent, at least in CN, with how they called the robot that Vita piloted in chapter 38, I think. Will Cosma come in chapter 41 to help Griseo and Fu Hua? How should I put this? I don't think so, unless they find a way to bring back dead people. I don't think Cosma will come. But isn't Su dead? I mean, technically yes, but also not really. We saw him die at the end of second key, but at the same time his consciousness ascended to some higher plane where he met some sort of godly being. So Su's situation is very complicated. Which are the flame chasers that are still alive? As of now, Fu Hua and Griseo, and Su is a very big question mark. And I know there are some other theories around circulating that Mobius is alive. I don't think so, but there are some small story implications that would suggest that she somehow survived, but like I said, I doubt that's the case. But I know that some people are on the Mobius copium. But the safest bet right now, Fu Hua, Griseo, and maybe Su. Have you seen more of the part 2 characters? Apparently it was an internal leak. Let's not talk about leaks here, Kifune. I know that some part 2 stuff got leaked, but I don't want to talk about it. Hello Neko, will Vita become a playable character? I mean, I guess so. At some point she should become a playable character. I do not know when, but I'm pretty certain that she will be. From what they said in some developer interviews and what they teased, they talked about how Vita will have an important role in part 2 by connecting the events that happened in part 1.5 to the events that will happen in part 2. So given that information, I'm assuming that she will become playable sometime during part 2. Off topic, will you be pulling for version 7.1 or saving for 7.2 upwards? I do not know. I think I will go for Griseo's weapon at least. But I don't plan on fully gearing her. And I'm still on the fence about the outfit, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't really know yet. Can you explain the difference between Sa and Vita again? I'm kinda confused. Is Vita Sa's avatar? Why did she turn good at the end of the Cele fight? Okay, so this is a question I have seen a lot, and I know that many people are confused about the relationship between Sa and Vita. So I will make this quick. Essentially, Sa is the original Vita. A long time ago, when Venus was facing the Honkai, the planet got basically on the brink of the humanity on the planet was on the brink of extinction, and to save themselves, they sought power from the Sea of Quanta. Something happened, and this power from the sea basically flooded Venus, killing everybody with the sole exception of Vita, the original Vita. And after that, she got some strange powers, like she didn't age, she could keep living without oxygen, and she tried to reconstruct the civilization on Venus. And after a while, she basically went into the depths of the Sea of Quanta for more power, because her goal, as we learn from chapter 39, is to bring back the civilization of Venus, which is seemingly tied to the current story arc and the new planet that we explore. But to do so, she needs a lot of energy, apparently. We don't really know why she's collecting energy, but she uses her powers on various bubble worlds in the Sea of Quanta to harvest energy. And we see this with Salt Snow Holy City, we see this with the other bubble universe in Kira's flashback. And to facilitate this process, the original Vita, or Sa, which is the name she assumed after she descended into the abyss of the Sea of Quanta, created avatars of herself. Basically, they are copies of her original human form, that are sent to different bubble worlds and tasked with monitoring the situation there and harvesting the energy. Now, chapter 39 kinda implies that normally these avatars would not have a consciousness, but the Vita we see in Salt Snow Holy City, with the help of Dr. Mara, who is a simulation of one of the original Vita's friends and researchers from Venus. I know it's complicated, but I will explain it in another video, so don't think too much about it. Helped her achieve consciousness. And because of that, she wanted to escape from Sa's control, which is the original Vita. So, to put it very simple, the Vita that we see in Salt Snow Holy City is an avatar created by the original Vita, which is Sa, that looks exactly like how she looked when she was human. and this is the gist of it. Hello, Homo, what are we talking about, actually? I was answering some questions, and I was just explaining the differences between Vita and the Vita that we see in Salt Snow Holy City and Sa. I hope this cleared up some of the confusion. Homo, the captain in the Captainverse is the same kind of being like the other characters, Kianame, etc., from the same dimensions and not the same captain as in IRL players from a higher dimension. Riniko, it's very complicated because there are many captains. There's the in the Captain Verse storyline there are basically two captains, which is the captain that we play this the story through, the usual captain that we see in the story who saved Calming and Luna. There's the ferryman, who is another version of the captain, which is the original version of the captain. And then there's the captain on the bridge, which are we, the players behind the screen. There's which is a very strange, because it's not the same captain from the Captain verse, but it's us. And that's the same captain that it's us that was in the I-Chan event, if you remember the event from last year when Honkai Impact was glitched and we have to save it. So yeah, the captain in that event is not the same captain from the Captain verse, but it's the bridge captain, which is us. So that's, and there are more, but I have to put down my thoughts about the Captain verse one day too, because the whole thing, it's not clear to me even now. But yeah, there are more captains than you think, and each is a different captain. Wait, so the one that linked part 2 is Vita, not Sa. They said that Vita will be the one that will link part 1.5 and part 2. Now, we don't know which Vita will be. I think that is the Vita from Salt Snow Holy City, but it may refer to other Vitas. It may refer to Sa, even though she discarded the name Vita, or may even refer to another Vita proxy. We don't really know. Make a video full reviewing the whole Captain verse story. Yes, I want to. A lot of people ask me to do that, but there's a lot of work involving that, especially since the stories of the older events is not it's not very well documented, and this will be a huge undertaking. And right now I don't really have the necessary time to make a full recap of the Captain verse. I'm too busy with exploring the Honkai Universe series and making videos about current story. And with part 2 on the horizon, things will get even more busier, so I don't know when I will have the time. I want to do it, but if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it properly. That is why I want to research the story in greater detail, and I don't have the time to do that right now. Hopefully, I will be able to do this sometime next year. That's the plan. After part 2 gets released and things calm down a little bit, and I'm done with the exploring the Honkai Universe series, and I can focus on other things. So it will probably come, just not in the immediate future. Will Griseo come in Honkai Part 2, and when and what happened to AE? I'm not sure if I understand this question. If you're referring if Griseo will appear in the story, she will appear in part 1.5. Because we saw Fu Hua basically saving her at the end of chapter 40. So if nothing bad happens and everything is going to plan, we should see Griseo in the next chapter. Wink wink, for those of you who know. Who are the Seven Little Vitas? We don't really know who they are. They seem proxies, just like the other Vitas that we encounter, like the Vita from Salt Snow Holy City. They seem avatars of Sa, but in miniature. I know this will get explained in the next chapter, and I have a vague idea of what they really are. Again, I didn't dive too deep, but again, this will be expanded in the next chapter, so I'm not gonna say anymore. What will the next video be? Seller recap first or the Honkai verse? The next video, the next Honkai Impact 3rd video will be a recap for the entire Salt Snow Holy City. And after that, here's the thing. Next week, chapter 41 will come out on global. And next week is when version 7.1 will start in CN. And if they keep the same scheduling that they kept this past 2 patches, we will have 2 weeks in which both global and CN will be on the same story. Before chapter 42 will come out in China. So in these 2 weeks, it's a rare opportunity for me because some of you may know the reason I don't make many theory videos is because there's this discrepancy between the 2 servers, and a lot of stuff that I am theorizing for the global content is already debunked or confirmed in the CN version, which is 1 chapter ahead usually. So this makes things very complicated because there are some issues. 1, I could make the theory based on all the information we have on global, but then people will just come and debunk it with the information from the CN server. Or I could make the video with the information from the CN server, but the majority of the people on global do not keep up with the CN stuff, so I would make a video for basically a very small portion of people. But we will have 2 weeks in which both servers will be aligned in terms of story. So I wanted to do a theory in that time window, because that's a opportunity that doesn't come around very often. And yeah, so these are probably the next 2 videos. The Seller recap, a theory video regarding the Fu Hua arc, and after that will probably be part 3 of the Exploring the Honkai universe. Homo the Dev said that the global server and the CN server will share the same anniversary during part 2. Does that mean that we might possibly start chapter 2 at the same time? We do not know. What the dev said was talking purely about the anniversary. It's not them syncing the servers. It's just that from now on, instead of the SEA server celebrating the anniversary in fall and the global and JP and the other servers celebrating in February, it will sync up to the release of part 2. But we do not know if they will sync the servers. It could happen, but they did not announce anything of that sort right now. My question was about Ai-chan's past. What is her purpose and how she came to the Hyperion? Why was she created? And if you remember, what manga was talking about it? So as far as I know, Ai-chan is basically an AI tasked with the operation of everything related to the Hyperion. I know it was a manga, I don't remember exactly which one. I know I read it a long time ago. Was it the one with the elves? I don't think so. I'll have to look a bit more into this. I have asked this customer support. They said that global and SCA server will start part 2 in February 2024. They didn't say about Korea and Japan. I mean, Korea and Japan are on the same schedule as SCA and ACA and global, so it makes sense for them to start at the same time. Also, thank you for subscribing, Justin. Anyway, I think enough time has passed. I originally wanted this to be a 15-minute discussion before we get into the recap, but it turned into a 40-minute discussion. Homolabs, the manga about Ai-chan is called Word Key thing. The manga about Ai-chan is the Word Key thing, and her task was to protect it from others. I see. You see, Licor, Neko gave you the answer. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about the chapter in greater detail. Let's do a short recap. Give me a moment here. To bring out some stuff. I also prepared some notes. I want to bring them out first. Homolabs, what do you think about the story so far in terms of their writing quality? That's a big question. But if you follow me, you know that I enjoy the story. I like it. That is not to say that it's perfect in any way. It has flaws. And it's clear that it's not for everyone, especially since they decided to lean more into the VN aspect of it and increase the text quantity. It can drag on sometimes, and especially on the Moon Arc, some of the scientific explanations were a bit too much. But yeah, overall I'm still enjoying it. As someone who dives deep into the lore, because I make content on it and I have to understand it pretty well to be able to do these videos. I can tell that there's a lot of effort put into it. There's a lot of care. Even though the science stuff is a lot more prevalent in the later parts of the story of the game, because to be honest, the scientific terminology was always prevalent in the Honkai series, especially in the visual novels and even in some of the mangas. But in the game was not present this much. It's still very well crafted, and there's character development for each and every character, even in part 1.5, which a lot of people don't really like from what I've seen. But I also feel like people are very fast in not giving a chance to the newer characters, everybody wants to see Kiana, May, Bronya, Sele, Fu Hua, and we've got some very interesting new characters these past couple of chapters, like Mistalin, like Prometheus, like even like Vita and Susana, which are very well fleshed out and developed, and I feel like people are so I don't know, attached to the old cast that they are they don't want to give these new characters a chance, you know, which is sad. And because they don't want to give them a chance, they are not interested in their stories. So when portions of the chapters that focus on them are more worthy, they usually say that the story is boring because they are not interested. But both Susanna and Mistalin have some incredible writing and development during the last story arc, but not many people talk about them because, like I said, for some reason people don't really want to give them a chance and to see past it. Because if you give them a chance and you learn to care a little bit about them more, the story will also be much more enjoyable. That's my perspective. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about chapter 40 again. Like always, big shout out and thanks to Ira Delasi for documenting the Honkai story and posting these chapters for us to see. Now I won't waste too much time on this small recap. We will just go through it and talk about some key points, and after that we will go into specifics, which are details from the chapter that I thought are interesting or worth talking more about. So we begin with this, which is basically the myth of creation for this new planet that we are on. And the gist of this creation myth is very simple. This was a flourishing planet with abundant life, green scenery, rivers, everything was flourishing on the planet, when one day a comet fell down from the sky and brought up the age of humankind, which basically implies that humanity on this planet came to be after a meteorite came falling down. Also, thank you, Seika, for becoming a member. I truly appreciate it. It's a very simple, it's your typical creation myth, which holds some deeper meaning, but we will talk about that later. And after that we are introduced to the new setting, which is the city of Phosphorus, where we see a young girl that looks like Vita, who rightfully so is called the Righteous Vita, and she is represented by the color red. And we see her offering to help the townsfolk and investigate things around. Now, basically this intro focuses on her finding a cat called Ladis, which belongs to one of the residents of the town. And we see Red following Ladis' trails, finds its anklet, suggesting that the cat might be injured. So she becomes worried and wonders what may have happened to the cat. And this scene might seem very inconsequential, but it's meant to set up the fact that strange things start happening in this place, because she even mentions the fact that nobody got injured in this place for centuries because of the Seven Vitas impeccable administration. So seeing an injured cat is something that it's out of the ordinary for this place. After following the cat, Red notices that the paw prints that the cat left behind are uneven, which is leading her to suspect that the cat might be injured. And after that, she even finds blood on the tracks, which only grows her concerns even more. After that, we are brought to another very strange situation, this time involving another Vita, which is referred to as Cyan or Erudite Vita, who is a boy, by the way. I even saw confusion on this side, so Cyan and Blue are boys, and the rest of the Little Vitas are girls. And the easiest way to figure this out is by the length of their hairs. If they have short hair, they are boys. If they have long hair, they are girls. So we have I know that somebody said that, and I laughed very hard, because now we have female Sue, which is Vita, and we have male female Sue, which is Cyan and Blue. Anyway, the interesting part here is that Cyan talks with an old man about an earthquake that happened this morning. So Cyan gets out to talk with the townfolk about this supposed earthquake that happened this morning, which Cyan didn't know about. He didn't feel it. But the interesting thing is that after he inquires about the earthquake from the townfolk, he receives varying answers from people that all report on different things happening. One of them talks about how they heard a very strong noise, but apparently nobody else felt an earthquake. Which again is to point out that some things that are unusual and are not supposed to happen take place. What the fuck, I didn't know they were boys. I just thought they have short hair. Yes, that's what I also initially thought, but they make it quite clear in the dialogue that they are boys. So yeah, there are all these strange things, and as Cyan continues the investigation, he stumbles upon a damaged pillar, and decides to further investigate to uncover the truth. And this is when Cyan encounters Fu Hua fighting a bunch of Honkai beasts for the first time. This is basically the introduction of Fu Hua in the story. After that, we change perspective to Orange, who is referred to as the encompassing Vita, who is dealing with some Honkai beasts, as we can see here, while protecting the townfolk. She attracts the monster's attentions for the people to escape. She is attacked, but is ultimately saved by Cyan and Fu Hua. And we have Fu Hua describing her situation to the young Vitas, and she offers her help in dealing with the Honkai beast. And we see this. This is the first major moment, I would say, in the chapter, when we see the flashback from Fu Hua's perspective about how she got into this mess. We see that, just like she said at the end of chapter 35, she set out on a journey together with Senti and the book of Fushi. But as we can see here, her idea of traveling is very different from Senti's idea of traveling. We have Senti who wants to go from one place to another very, very quickly. She doesn't like to waste time looking around. And we have Fu Hua, of course, in the grandma mode. She likes to take things slowly, to take in the scenery. Which pisses off Senti, and this leads to an argument, and Senti goes off. And they don't really mention it, but I'm assuming after she storms off here, that this is when she's brought to the country of Fire and Sand in the Sea of Quanta. We see Fu Hua talking with Fushi, and after that we are going to this, and yes, after everything is over, Fushi falls asleep, and this is when Fu Hua starts to hear this strange voice, which to us is presented as the narrator. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is very similar to how Vita was basically the narrator for a good part of chapter 39. It's very similar. We know that Sa is, at least in the bubble words that are under its influence, is omniscient. She can even pry into people's minds. Of course, there are some limitations which were exploited during chapter 39. But she interacts with Fu Hua, and we learn that she's trying to force Fu Hua into doing something. Now, what reinforms that this is related to Sa is the fact that Fu Hua gets transported to Phosphorus, which is a place that is I don't have to say it again, it's obviously related to Sa, the strange narrator that can talk with the characters and intervene in the story, and also Teresa's speculation at the end of chapter 39. We don't really know more than that. We see here Fu Hua trying to figure out who this strange entity could be. She rules out Senti, she rules out Su, who also came into her mind. And she is basically... she interacts with this white cube and is basically sent to Phosphorus. Chronologically speaking, is this chapter happening during or before or after Salt Snow Holy City event? I think that the flashback we just saw happens before Salt Snow Holy City, but this event should happen during or after. It's not very clear yet. It may happen after, and I'm more inclined to think that it's after because of the whole thing with Su that we had in the tutorial video for the brick. Because during the tutorial video, Senti says something along the line, are you going to bring me to another bubble universe, which would imply that the events in the weapon tutorial happen after Salt Snow Holy City. But yeah, we don't know for sure. This is just speculation on my part and me trying to make sense of it. Yeah, and after this we see Fu Hua basically providing instructions for the two on how to deal with the Honkai beasts. We get a little bit of explanation for the Little Vitas, explaining what Honkai and Honkai beasts are. And there's nothing really interesting happening here until they get to the museum. And it's also Fu Hua at some point when the Cyan and Orange are talking, notes the fact that the nature of the city is very strange, because some parts are very advanced from a technological standpoint, but at the same time all this, as you can see, the metal bars here and all these technologies mixed with ancient architecture. And this is the first time when Fu Hua doubts the fact that she is on Earth. And this is another thing I wanted to mention, because I also saw people confused about the location of this planet. As far as we know, this is not the Sea of Quanta. This is not a bubble world. This is a proper world on the imaginary tree. It should be a planet at the edge of the solar system, if everything I know is correct, which was actually teased in chapter 38, if you remember, when Senti saw her future in one of Vita's predictions. She saw herself on a planet at the edge of the solar system, which, now that I think about implies that Senti might come here. So this is the same planet. It has some connections with the Sea of Quanta. Fu Hua will point this out later in the chapter, especially the part in the other city Hesper's that where's the crater, but the place itself is a proper planet at the edge of the solar system. It's not a bubble world. So basically it's within the Earth system, yes. And I'll go into more details about this after we finish this part, because there are some interesting theories here. Anyway, I want to talk about the museum, which is the next interesting aspect of it. Basically, they try to investigate the source of the Honkai energy, because Fu Hua explains it very clearly. The Honkai beasts are merely a symptom of a Honkai leakage, and they have to figure out from where does this Honkai energy come from, in order to stop the Honkai beasts from appearing. And the Little Vitas say that they basically checked everywhere in the city except for the museum, which is this underground place where various artifacts are stored. But we will get into more details about that later. And this is very interesting because as you go around investigating the museum, you will find many artifacts from different places, which are implied to be keepsakes that Proxy Vita takes from the words that are ultimately destroyed by Sa. Homolabs, if it's in the solar system, then why couldn't Kevin locate Griseo? He said that Griseo left the solar system. He didn't say that Griseo left the solar system. He said that the Ark should have left the solar system by now, but they lost contact with it, which would make sense if the Ark was attacked and it crash landed. But if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin says the Ark should have left the solar system by now, not that it had left. Then I don't know how many of you actually read the articles. There's nothing very important in them. It's just there's nothing groundbreaking in terms of lore, but it's some very fun trivia. I don't know. Did you guys read every artifact in the museum? Or you just went through with it and continued the story? I read it all. I didn't read but couldn't make much. I did read but couldn't make much sense of it. Read them. I did but forget everything. So more people than I expected actually read them. That's good. Back in the Ark, they mentioned that the Ark makes 2 trips. Yes, and even Kevin mentioned that the Ark returned and left again. So this is something that we knew, that after humanity was reset, to escape the gripes of finality, Griseo set out in space with the Ark. After that, it is implied both in ER and by Kevin during the Moon Arc that Griseo returned to Earth, and sometimes after that she set out again with the Ark. So that is correct. I mean, people that are here are interested in the story, makes sense, we read them. You know what? Fair. That's fair. Okay, let's continue. This is basically the Vitas introducing them and talking about their roles in the city. The investigation continues, and I think that the most important part, which everybody was expecting to see, is when they find okay, come on, internet, don't let me down. Okay, they discovered this display with a math equation, which are just some, as far as my limited knowledge of math is, some prime numbers and some multiplications of prime numbers. Don't ask me what they mean, I have no idea. I wanted to ask some of my friends who are into math, and will probably ask them in the future when I will dive deeper into this this part of the story. But the author of the text is JM, which comes from, as you know by now, James Moriarty, which is another one of the characters from Sherlock Holmes. Is basically his nemesis, which is very fittingly put into the story. Now, please, for those of you who are up to date with the CN stuff, please do not spoil anything related to Moriarty. I know the details about him, that was very obvious, but that is a very big reveal that people will have the chance to explore in the next chapter. But let me say, things are a lot more interesting than I expected regarding Moriarty initially. And here we see a flashback. about Hua's encounter with Moriarty, which is again a reference to how Moriarty is defeated in Sherlock Holmes. It's a very nice callback. But the gist of it is that this happened a long time ago, and Fu Hua thought that Moriarty was dead. And she talks a little bit more about Moriarty as a person. She explains that Moriarty was not a purely evil person. Instead, he saw crime as an art to demonstrate his intelligence to the people. And she recounts this entire history with him. And after this, the next part is when they find the piece of meteorite. Which is connected to the creation myth that we saw at the beginning of the chapter, and which is replayed here. And Orange claims that the history presented in the creation myth is the actual history of the city, and the meteorite fragment is evidence of it. But Hua is not so sure. And keeps finding more and more weird connections about the city customs, and wonders about the creators of the museum and its purpose. And this is another interesting discussion, because when we inspect these museum pieces, on some of them we can hear Vita's voice. Not the small Vitas, the big one from Salt Snow Holy City, and we can also hear another voice, a much more robotic voice, which Fu Hua points out that this museum has basically artifacts from two different people, which is again very interesting, pointing out that there are two owners, and each brings different kinds of things back to the museum. And one of them is Proxy Vita. Again, we do not know if he's the same Vita from Salt Snow Holy City or an entirely different Proxy Vita, because at this point there's an army of Vitas. But I'm sure that we'll find out next chapter. Homolab, so it's confirmed that the Sky People were created by Griseo, so we see in the Griseo event and the art that even APHO May said it looked like something created by a kid along the line. I mean, it's not really confirmed, because we saw the Sky People even in the previous arc, during the Salt Snow and Salt Snow Holy City situation. It's more so that the Sky People are created by Sa rather than Griseo. Because it may be that the Sky People were created by Sa using the Ark or Griseo's powers to an extent, but and they may be based on the drawings made by Griseo, but we are still not very sure on that. But yeah, the chapters ends with an emergency. The act ends with an emergency alarm, causing panic among the Vitas, because something unexpected happened in the city. And after this, we are going to Act 2. Oh boy. Okay, give me a second to stretch my back. I also have a speculation about the Hersher of Rebirth not being an actual Hersher, but this stream is about chapter 40, so I'll probably tell it later if you give permission. But I know you made a video about it, so I delved deep a bit more into Celeste lore. I mean, I have a video about it, and it's an interesting watch. In a sense, she's not a traditional Hersher, but she's still a Hersher nonetheless. but it's a different kind of Herrscher. This is a very debatable subject because it all depends on what you consider a Herrscher to be. It's similar in nature, yes, but depending on what your definition of a Herrscher is, it might be or might not be. But SA sky people are different from APHO sky people in terms of color. Wondering what can that possibly imply, like SA becoming more powerful. Maybe that, or maybe someone else is behind the sky people. Dun dun dun. I know that there's a lot of conspiracy theories circulating around involving Mara. A lot of people seem to believe that it's actually Mara who is behind the sky people and not SA, which is suggested in some of the dialogues presented in chapter 39 between Proxy Vita and Mara. And to be fair, it is a possibility, but here's the thing about APHO. A lot of people look at part 1.5 expecting to finally find the answers that links everything, that will finally explain everything. And people are forgetting something very important, and that is the fact that part 2 happens before APHO. So I wouldn't put my hopes up that we will know everything about APHO in part 1.5, but more so part 2 will lead to the events on Earth during the APHO. And that's my speculation. Anyway, let's continue. We see that the city is in a panic due to an outbreak of Honkai beasts attacking the citizens. Fu Hua, along with the two Vitas, returns to the surface to help them. Nothing really interesting happens until they start discussing about what measure should they take when they met up with Red. And this is when some interesting things are introduced into the story. First is an object called the artifact, which is some kind of strange relic with mysterious powers that the Vitas claim that could resolve all the problems that the city may encounter, but as far as they know, they never used it, and it requires the approval of all the 7 Vitas to be used. And of course, during this story, we can most likely assume that the artifact will be used. My current theory on it is that it's most likely, if you remember, let me go back to this part. My current theory is that this hourglassy thingy is the artifact, and we can also see it in the map, tucked into a corner. It's not visible right now, but yeah, that's just food from thought. But this is the point where they introduce it. We don't know what it is, but we know that it has great power. And the Vitas are debating if they should use it or not, which they ultimately decide not to use it because Green wants to overcome this situation by their power alone and not relying on other stuff like the artifacts. And another important piece of information during this dialogue is the fact that 2 of the 7 Vitas, which are blue and yellow, are missing. After that, Fu Hua again suggests investigating the source of the Honkai energy, and they speculate that it might be on the Forbidden Grounds, which again will be translated as Forbidden Area in some parts of the chapter. Again, it's one of those terms that is not very consistent. But the Forbidden Grounds are basically a place on the outside of the city, where even the Vitas are not allowed to go. And to get there, they traverse the outskirts of the city, which are in ruins and are called Hesperus. And this was initially the place where they lived a long time ago, but after a disaster struck, they were forced to move from here to the place where are now, which is Phosphorus. As they traverse the ruins, they discover traces of Honkai energy at footprints, and after that they come across a giant crater, which is the next important thing to notice. And we found out that this crater is tied to the disaster that bestowed this place and that forced the citizens to move. After this, they finally found what is described by the Vitas as a bridge, but it's a very strange metallic bridge. And this is where Fu Hua reflects for the first time that she might not be a nerd, which is very interesting to me. That she thought about it even before, but it took her quite a while to realize that she's not on Earth anymore. And as you can see, this is very, very different from the other stuff around the place. Basically, it's a metallic bridge that comes from the ruins of what looks to be a spaceship, and later we found out that this is the actual Ark. After that, we go back to the city, where Green and Violet save the civilians and discuss the disappearance of Blue and Yellow. They find some logs indicating that Blue and Yellow went to the museum earlier in the day and decide to follow them there. This is where we get the flashback with Vita, Proxy Vita. Again, this might not be the same Vita from Salt Snow Holy City. I don't think so. At least this is what the story implies. I think this is a different Proxy Vita, but again, I think this is something that will be revealed in the next chapter. But we find the confirmation that she is one of the owner of the museums. Homo Labs, how come the IPC isn't noticing, or actually the galaxy isn't noticing the events on Earth? Like, shouldn't the IPC be sending a scouting unit to the Earth to find what is going on? I mean, this is such a deep discussion that you can drag on for a long time. We know that not even the Astral Express has any records of the Earth, one. So it might be the case that the Earth is just not connected to the other worlds. It's not a world that was discovered by the Astral Express, because we know that the IPC uses the Star Rail to travel between worlds, yes? So that means that if there's no star rail leading to Earth, they can't really come to Earth. Now, we also know that the IPC has at least 2 emanators of preservation. It's implied that there may be even more, but we know of 2. And we know that with the power of an emanator, you can travel between worlds even without the star rail. So if the IPC wanted, they could probably find the Earth, but I don't think it's any worth for them doing so, because mainly because of the Honkai, which is another force that I don't think that anyone would want to deal with. This would be the practical reason why the IPC haven't found the Earth. The second reason would be simply because they, however, wishes to keep the games separated. And this is one of those situations where, yes, it would make sense for the IPC and other entities in Star Rail to know about Earth, maybe even travel here, but simply because Hoyoverse doesn't want to connect them too much, they have to keep each game in its own corner and pretend that that other stuff don't really exist, and just drip fed us connections like wealth, purely from a standpoint in which they don't want to alienate the players of the games that play only one game. Because let's be honest here, the majority of the Star Rail players do not play Honkai Impact 3rd. So making the connections too evident or too in your face might hurt them because of that. I mean, they are not stupid. They know how to. They know what they can market, how much they could connect the games, so that it won't affect one player base negatively. And I know that this is strange coming from me, who is making an entire series about how everything is connected, but because I studied a lot how these are connected and have this insight, I can say that there are a lot more connections that they could have made if they wanted to, but I can see them purposefully choosing not to make them, so they don't completely alienate the Star Rail player base. Yeah, where were we? I lost my thoughts there. Let me see. Let me bring up my notes to see where I left things. Oh yeah, it's when the 2 Vitas find Moriarty in the museum, which apparently was awake this whole time, and offers to tell Green and Violet more about Blue and Yellow, how they disappeared. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a lot of information, and some of these earlier chapters are still not very well ingrained in my mind. So I am constantly looking back and forth between my notes, just to show you guys my notes that I take every chapter. And while I talk, I also scream through them to point out relevant information. This is for Act 2, just so you see what I have on the other monitor. These are usually my notes that I take when I play a chapter. So this is the same notes on which I base my my recap videos. Let me show you the other ones as well. For example, that is for Act Act 2. This is for Act 1. So yeah, basically everything that happens, so I have to constantly switch my attention between these notes. Publish it as an encyclopedia and I will buy it. It's not an encyclopedia worth of material. Home question, is the imaginary energy similar or a form of magic, or what is used to create magic? I mean, how would you define magic? Because I don't think there's anything in the Honkai verse that is referred to as magic. Sure, imaginary energy can explain some phenomena that normal logic could not, if you can consider that magic. But yeah, let's move on. We're back on the ship when Fu Hua and the Little Vitas are discussing the dilapidated bridge. Fu Hua notices a strange area under a fissure and uses the beacon from the cosmic juggernaut to calculate the fact that this place is somehow connected to the Sea of Quanta, but it's not quite in the Sea of Quanta, and this is where they explain the fact that this is a proper world that has some connections to the Sea of Quanta, but it's not quite inside the Sea of Quanta. After that, again, Fu Hua inquires about the disaster that caused the rift, because it's a very suspicious place that gives her very suspicious readings, and it might be connected to the source of the Honkai energy. And then the two Little Vitas recall an earthquake and a flooding that happened a long time ago when the disaster struck and they had to move out. And Fu Hua asks that if they used the artifact back then, to which the two Little Vitas reply that they did not. At least they do not remember using them. And then is when Fu Hua, or I think it was Orange, raises the question is if they used the artifact in the past, but they have no memories of that. Which is again very interesting to keep in mind for the future. And at the end, Orange invites Fu Hua to sit down and share some sweets. It's a very heart-warming, heart-to-heart conversation. And at the end of the chapter, we see Fu Hua collecting a candy wrapper that fall down, and she notices that the spaceship has the fire moth symbol on it. Which is the moment that we learn that this bridge, quote unquote, is actually the remains of the spaceship used in Project Ark. Is basically the Ark that Griseo went in space with a long time ago. And this is the end of Act 2. Homolabs, do you think there will be other characters that than Welt which will connect the games, like Elio? Is Elio supposed to be a character from another game? Is there such a theory, or why do you mention Elio in particular? Before I saw the mod symbol, I thought it was the Hyperion. I mean, it was pretty obvious that it was the Ark, especially since they set up a Fu Hua story, and Fu Hua is connected to the Flame Chasers and Griseo, and you can literally see it before you even know that it's the Ark. You can literally no, this is let me go back. I think it's around here. You can literally see the structure. Or it's here. Yes, it's here. You can literally see the giant spaceship in the in the background. And it was very funny to me that Fu Hua never mentioned it, and it was very obvious that there's a giant hunk of metal that looks like a giant spaceship there, and Fu Hua should know how the Ark looks because she was alive during that time. But to give her a pass, we know that she has problems recalling certain things. Her memory is not the best, it's very fuzzy. So let's say that, okay, maybe she doesn't remember how the Ark looks, but at least acknowledge the giant spaceship planted in the ground back there. That was very funny to me. The Ark looked like a big sword, yes. Kinda, in a way. Okay, so let's start with Act 3. Give me a moment to stretch my back a little. I have to be very careful because if I stay in one position for too long, it starts hurting, and I really don't want to spend the rest of my evening taking pain medication and being curled up in the bed. So give me a moment. What happened to the sword Durandal? Yeah, like Neko said, Hua borrowed it during chapter 35 to cut that piece out of Kevin's shadow to locate the Cocoon of Finality. After that, we don't really know. I'm assuming it's still with Durandal and Rita. Alright, let's go into Act 3. I'm just preparing my notes. Scare me. Okay, so the story in Act 3 starts from Moriarty's perspective in the ruins of Hesperus. And he explains the fact that he woke up 4 days ago and returned to the cryo chamber out of... This part I didn't really understood very well. I was going to replay it and ask some people, but this is my current understanding from the explanation provided in chapter 40. He woke up 4 days prior to the events that happen now, but returned to his cryo chamber out of curiosity, which I didn't really understand exactly what they mean. And when he returned to his cryo chamber, that's when Fu Hua and the 2 Little Vitas happened to be in the museum and stumble upon his exhibit, which apparently it is now revealed to be a cryo chamber. And we have the confirmation that Moriarty was aware of everything that Fu Hua and the Little Vitas said, which is very interesting. And apparently he kinda recognizes Fu Hua, because it seems that he doesn't recall everything, but she's very familiar to him. And after that we see Moriarty having a conversation with Blue and Yellow, and it is revealed to us that both of them were acting under Moriarty's instructions, and that's why they couldn't found them. And we finally get a bit of the reasoning. We found out that Blue is very cautious of both Moriarty and Fu Hua and considers them equally dangerous, and points out that the anomalies, which is the Honkai beasts, started to happen when Fu Hua arrived and after Moriarty awakened. After that, again, Moriarty gives them their word that he's not connected to the events that are happening right now, and that he, just like everybody else, is interested in finding out what is causing all of this. So yeah, that's very, very interesting, this plot point with Moriarty and the other Vitas, which again will be explored in depth next chapter. And like I said, there are some interesting reveals regarding his character that I cannot wait to talk about, probably in the next stream. And after this we are back at Fu Hua and the other Vitas. Fu Hua recognizes the bridge as Project Ark and shares some information about it with Cyan and Orange. And she asks about the ship's connection to the Forbidden Area. And when did the bridge appear? To which Cyan replies that it appeared during the Cataclysm. After that, Fu Hua asks about Griseo, but none of the Vitas heard about her or seen her. After that, they continued their search, but now besides the source of the Honkai energy, Griseo is also added to the list, since she was the one that went with the Ark. Fu Hua hopes that she is also around here somewhere. And as they search through the ruins and the rubble left by the spaceship, Fu Hua keeps finding past memos, to call them, that belonged to the Flame Chasers. She finds a crystal globe that had one of Eden's songs. She finds a book, if I remember correctly, that was given to Griseo by Mobius. And most importantly, she finds this phoenix pendant which she gave to Griseo in the past. And we have this little nice flashback with when the Flame Chasers exchanged gifts among them. And we have this moment between Griseo and Fu Hua when Fu Hua gave her present to Griseo earlier because she wasn't confident in her choice of gifts. She thought that everybody prepared something special, like Alpast cooked for them, Eden sang them a song. So she wanted to give her present a bit earlier, and she didn't want to wait until everybody was present, and because she felt that her gift is not as important. To which Griseo says that again, it's a very nice moment in which Griseo confirms that it is indeed a very special gift, and because it comes from Fu Hua and it means a lot to her, and that she will treasure it. It's crazy, I didn't expect them to mention the Flame Chasers in this chapter. Gave me all sorts of emotions. I mean, why not? It's a chapter involving two Flame Chasers, so it makes sense for them to mention them. And I expect that as the story progresses, they will mention them even more. Imagine if even Sue joins the story, and we will have 3 Flame Chasers alive. I would really love to see that. Okay, so after this they finally found Red, who reports seeing a strange figure and some Honkai beasts. And they also note the fact that the Honkai beasts are a lot stronger in this part, hinting at the fact that they may be closer to the source of Honkai energy, or that maybe the Honkai in general is getting stronger, which would be the less desirable situation, because that means that the Honkai beasts in the city will also get stronger and pose an even greater risk for the people. But in the end, all the Vitas except for blue and yellow gather, and they start discussing about going to the forbidden area. To which Violet expresses her concern due to her intuition, because Violet, amongst the Vitas, Violet is the one who has the most keen intuition, and usually when she says that something will happen, she's right. But nonetheless, Fu Hua wants to go and find Griseo because she has a feeling that she will be there. In the end, they decide to let Fu Hua go to the forbidden area. She bids her farewell and goes together with Cyan to the zone. Cyan opens the gate with a glowing key and reveals that when they tried to enter to the forbidden zone, they are basically brought back in less than a minute. And that's why none of the Vitas can enter. It's not because they can literally enter, it's because this strange space in which the forbidden area or zone exists, it doesn't really accept them. It brings them back. And after Fu Hua enters, Cyan specifically waits 1 minute to see if Fu Hua is turned back by the space or not. And after he sees that Fu Hua is not back after a minute, he basically goes back, now being sure that Fu Hua properly entered the zone. And this is where the interesting stuff happens. We see the Forbidden Area, which is this strange place shrouded in mist, and she encounters some monster, defeats them, and sees this illusion with Vita and Red. And this is where she met V, I think. Yes, this is where she met V, which is this beam of light that tells Fu Hua to follow her, and has Vita's voice. And we can assume that she is connected somehow to one of the proxy Vitas, or she is even Sa. Who knows? I still think that she's more likely a proxy. And this is also the moment in the chapter where you can make a choice. You can follow V and continue searching for Griseo, or you can ignore V's instructions and go the other way around, which will prompt you more illusions of Vita and the seven little vitamins, and will give you a much more clear perspective on Vita's perception of the kids, which, let me tell you, it's not what you expect, but we will talk about that after we finish this. I'll come back and go a bit over it. As Fu Hua follows V, she arrives at this console, which V suggests that it is an illusion that is not supposed to be there, and that Fu Hua needs to break it. Fu Hua agrees, and V enters the console to extract information. She shares an excerpt from the Ark's log recorded by Griseo, who described Earth from space and her thoughts on life and her mission. This is basically when Griseo left Earth. We do not know if this is when she left the Earth the first time or the second time, but I think it's the second time by the looks of it. And Fu Hua feels joyful after seeing this message because she finally managed to find some traces of Griseo. After that, they proceed to the next console, where V triggers a defense mechanism leading to another monster attack that Fu Hua defeats, and they discover another message recorded by Griseo. Yeah, I think it's this one. And this is more so on the philosophical side, more where Griseo ponders about the experiences of people who must journey on this path of being entrusted with this mission, and how the flow of time affects them, and the way they see the people around her and humanity in general. It's a very interesting discussion. It's worth looking into it, especially if you like existentialism and philosophy. But the gist of it is that Fu Hua and even other people like Kevin and Su, it's basically a common feeling that each of them shares, but in different ways. When they think about the mission that they have been entrusted with. After that, we get to the last console, which is a recording of Griseo. This is when it is revealed that Griseo was actually on Mars, and she even saw some ruins there, which is a very nice way to tease the events that will happen in part 2. And it is also when we learn that the Ark discovered a planet on which Griseo wanted to stop on to resupply. It's important to mention that she didn't want to sow. They use sow basically when they want to say that she didn't want to use the contents of Project Ark on this planet. She only wanted to stop here to resupply and move on. But something happened, something attacked her, and the recording abruptly stops. And we can assume that the planet is this one on which we are right now. And there's a lot of mysteries here, because you don't really know who attacked her. It's a lot of theorizing, but let me tell you my theory regarding this planet, Griseo's involvement, and what happened. I think that the one that attacked Griseo was Sa. And what Sa wanted most likely was the seeds of Project Ark to rebuild Venus, because we know that Sa/original Vita's goal was to find a way to rebuild the civilization on Venus. They most likely found this planet, or maybe created this planet. I have no idea how this strange planet came into being. And they were looking for a way to rebuild humanity here, to rebuild the civilization on Venus here. Also, thank you for subscribing, Not. And I think that Sa saw an opportunity in Griseo's Ark, because the contents of the Ark we learned that are the human genome, animals, everything that populated Earth. Because the mission that the Ark had to undergo is to find another suitable planet where for life, where humanity can flourish again if it gets destroyed in the previous era. So Sa saw this opportunity and attacked the Ark, using the contents of the Ark to rebuild the civilization of Venus on this planet. And most likely what we see now, the people in Phosphorus and so are actually the people resulted from Project Ark being used on this planet. I mean, this is not some incredible big brain theory, wow. It's something very obvious. And I think that when Hoyo makes things very obvious, it's usually the obvious route that they take. Not to say that they don't do plot twists or they don't come up with interesting events that people cannot see, but I think in this case it's pretty obvious. I don't think what plot twist you can pull here to make it something else. And after the recording ends, we see here that Fu Hua is attacked by the same sky people look-alike monsters that we also see during the Salt Snow Holy City arc, implying a direct connection to Sa. And we also learn that this V entity attempted to hack into Hua's mind, but Hua realized that and stopped her. After everything is over, V shows Hua the exit into reality and the location of Griseo's cryopod before disappearing. And of course the chapter ends with Fu Hua fighting Griseo's cryopod. Now, what I wanted to... I will rewind this a bit. What I wanted to also talk about was what happens if you choose to not follow V and instead go the opposite direction. For starters, she will attempt to persuade you to go with her. But Hua becomes more and more suspicious of her as she keeps talking, and realizes that V is trying to prevent her from seeing certain information rather than helping her. And we encounter more memories related to Vita and the 7 little vitamins. The first memory isn't anything special, it's just Vita giving her them presents. But from the second one we start to get more and more glimpses into Vita, Proxy Vita, Sa, I don't know who she is, mind and how she thinks about the 7 little Vitas. And let me tell you right now, she hates them. Okay, maybe hate is a strong word, but she expresses her dislike for repetitive work and for her job, which requires to act friendly towards others and being an ongoing person. And she wonders why she have to act in that manner. She doesn't want to be that way. And she wonders it's possible because that's the type of person that people can't resist. And she even recalls Mara comparing her to them. Them here most likely referring to Sa, which again leads me to believe that this is another proxy. And she reflects on this repetitive chore of watching all these small Vitas grow, bringing them gifts, and the cycle, and seeing this friendship forming among them. And she basically says that she's sick of it and doesn't really want to see them anymore. But in the end, she accepts it as part of her work. And at the end, it's very interesting because Fu Hua wonders why this Vita appeared so lonely. Is she acting like that because of Sa's influence? Maybe. It's very interesting because in chapter 39, the discussion between Proxy Vita and Mara implies that a proxy shouldn't have her own personality and should be just an avatar that does things, doesn't really have feelings, or is not really aware of themselves. And she reveals that she is a special case that awoken her own personality due to Mara's help. Now this proxy seems to be a different one, and I mean it may be the same Vita, but I don't think so. It looks like it's not the same, but it's strange because this one also seems to have a personality of her own, but maybe she's not in control of it, and those are her real thoughts. She hates her job, she hates being kind all the time, she hates being happy all the time, and she hates the repetitive tasks that she has to do over and over again, which kinda in a way are similar to the feelings that the Salt Snow Holy City Vita had. But yeah, I think we'll just have to wait here for more information. Now let me bring the game back. And this is it, the recap. I hope that it helped you a little bit in understanding the events that transpired in this chapter. Like I said, even I don't fully understand this chapter because I haven't had the time to go truly into it, but this discussion was based on my notes that I took when I played the chapter. So I will most likely, before chapter 41 comes out, I want to do a replay of the chapter to analyze some stuff and even talk with some lore enthusiast friends to see their perspectives. Common Labs, we also had that female Vita like voice with Moriarty in the JP for chapter 40. I wonder if maybe Moriarty is that Vita proxy, especially when Mori is talking to Yellow and Blue, what do you think? I know what you say. It's a similar robotic voice, but I don't know if it's the same voice. I mean, that would be interesting. Yeah, we have to see. Alin for Luna, I see. Yes. Yes, I lost all my crystals. But I am happy. She's a lot more fun than I initially thought. The only thing that I regret is not having enough to pull for Senti's Brick. But there will be other opportunities in the futures. If I remember correctly, they really rerun Divine Keys pretty often, so I'm not complaining. I will get to the brick some other time. I understand that I need to replace the stage in the fog. I didn't know about the additional content. Yeah, it's very easy to miss it, AP, but they usually they made it kind of clear that the choice matters, because they highlighted the text, one with when they say go with her in green, and when they said don't do not follow her with red, implying that well, maybe there's something more. But it's nice to see them this kind of things, and I hope that they will do it more in the future. Is Senti's new set and brick any good? I mean, if you want to play her as a DPS, yes. My advice is, if you're a new player, it's not worth it. If you are a veteran player that already has most of the teams built, and you have Senti, you like to use her, you also have Herrscher of Rebirth fully geared and Prometheus fully geared, then yes, it might be worth it for you. Because you can play her as a DPS with those, but in the long run she won't be that important, and this is based on past Herschers that got Divine Keys. Sure, she will be back into the meta for a while, but her bosses won't be that common. Like Luna's, for example. Luna is a much better investment than Senti and her bricks right now, purely from a meta standpoint. Don't get me wrong. If you like Senti, go for it. I'm talking purely from a meta perspective, because she's not Luna can serve both as a bleed DPS and as a lightning support, which automatically has 2 roles. I mean, Senti also has 2 roles, but you need 2 sets for her and 2 different weapons, because for supporting, Senti still needs her old gear. For DPS, she wants her new gear. And on top of that, if you want her as a support, you already have Herrscher of Rebirth, who is better at supporting than her. So yeah. Yeah, no problem. I'm also not an extremely meta focused player. I do my Abyss right now, as you can see. I'm chilling in Nirvana, and most likely will go back to Red Lotus after this, because funnily enough, the current weather is made for Senti and her brick, and I don't have her, so there's no way I will return this cycle. But I can say that I have a very basic knowledge of meta in Honkai Impact 3rd. Homolabs, oh yeah, the side missions, do you think they'll all happen? The placements, I mean, or choices, could it maybe be like the informator, the informator, the layout? Okay, I don't really understand what you say there, Glytic Mirror, but I'm assuming you are talking about the side quests in chapter 40 that had different endings, and you are asking if it's something similar to the device that Vita used in chapter 38 to calculate the future, right? And to answer you, I have no idea, because if that's the case, it's not hinted at that in any point. It might be. It's an interesting idea, but who knows? Also, thank you for subscribing, Kyle Perez and Andre. Oh, time to go do a biz. Yeah, I will most likely do it later tonight. But like I said, I'm not expecting to retain Nirvana, because I don't have Senti and her new gear. I don't even know who I can use without Senti. Yeah, I'll figure it out anyway. So what do you think about the 2.0 character designs? Heard many people complaining that they are clones of each other and that the devs killed the Honkai Impact art style. Honestly, I don't think so. I will be honest, from what I see, I don't really like the Dream Seeker's design. But that's more of a me thing rather than the design itself. I like Senadina, I like Hylia a lot. Coralie is, while I do not like her, I appreciate her design. I think it's interesting. The only one that I have a problem with is the Dream Seeker, to be honest. Oh, and I also like Sangcha. I don't know. For me, they look fine, and I really need to see them in game, because they only revealed some concept art, which is not very telling. It's very basic. But I don't know. For me, they look fine. I don't have any strong opinions about them. You can use Silverwing. I think I saw like 600 plus with her. That's nice to know. I could use Silverwing, not that I think about it. Or maybe even Aponia, right? I want to know the personality of Hylia and Coralie and the blonde girl. Yeah, I mean, from their design alone, I can picture Coralie, the silent type, more like on the cooler side, doesn't say too many things. Hylia to me seems like serious, proper, more like the Randall type of character, and Senadina seems very bubbly, March 7 Alicia vibes. I don't know. This I'm not saying this will be their personality. These are the vibes that they are giving to me based on initial impressions. Also about magic, what do you think about Sirin's powers? Well, it's very clear that Sirin's powers are still Honkai related. It's a form of manipulating Honkai specific to her bubble universe, but they call it magic there. Like, you can call Honkai energy and its applications in different ways in different places. But it's very clear that it's Honkai. It's not... and if this was your previous questions about can Honkai or imaginary energy be magic, in this situation, I guess so. Is every word on the imaginary tree a self-contained universe? Not really. If we are going by what Honkai Star Rail tells us, each word on the imaginary tree should be a star system, separated by imaginary energy from others. and all of the worlds on the imaginary tree are part of the same universe, because universe is used to refer to the imaginary tree itself. And Xandar tells us that each world is a separate star system. So to apply this to Honkai Impact 3rd, think of our star system, which is the sun and the planets that gravitate around it, are one world in Xandar's definition. So Venus and Mars are not a different world. But again, word is used very interchangeably. This is by Xandar's definition. Sometimes different planets are called different worlds. If you refer to different planets as different worlds, which both games do from time to time, then they are different worlds. If you refer to Xandar's definition, they are not. Homo, I wanted to ask, what is Susana's, why Susana's and Country of Iron Sand teams are very similar? It is just a coincidence. I think that they are similar because both of them are inspired by Middle East desert theme. If you look at the Country of Iron Sand, by the name itself, it's very obvious that it's a desert region, and we know that Susana hails from the Middle East. So while Susana doesn't really have any direct correlations to the Country of Iron Sand, there is this thematic overlap between her and the bubble world. Also, thank you for all the new subscribers. Anyway, I think that I will end it here for today. Honestly, I am a bit exhausted from talking too much, but I hope that this helped you. I know that it's a bit late, like I said in the beginning. But yeah, I'm very excited for chapter 41 next week, and we will be back with another Honkai discussion stream, probably after chapter 41 is fully out, which should be in 2 weeks, but I don't think I will do it in 2 weeks because, like I said, I don't think that everybody will be up to date with the chapters, so maybe sometime after that, maybe in 3 weeks from now. I know it's a lot, but like I said, I want to give people the necessary time to catch up with the story. So yeah, thank you all again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.